Minasan, konnichiwa, Rai Sensei desu. So we're going to start now our topic overview for topic 23, making my town a better place. Minasan, hajime. So the main objective of this topic is to awaken the students' awareness and social responsibility that they have towards the place or town that they live in. Not just by merely appreciating it, identifying its good points, but also identifying the bad points, as well as they're going to do steps to solve the problems that they see present in their own towns, which comes up to the skills that the students need to develop in this topic, which are the life and career skills, especially initiative, self-direction, and leadership and responsibility. So we could assess this one by letting the students identify not basic knowledge and history of the town or the city that they live in. They will be able to identify the good points and problematic points on the town that they live in. And with the problematic points, they're going to come up with their original action plan on how to make their town or city a better place. Also, effective communication skills are being developed here once that they'll be able to describe their own town or city, to present the action plan on how to improve the town or city, and as well as being able to comment on others' presentations. For the language part, so the students will be able to describe the good points and problematic points of one's town or city, can present their own action plan on improving the problematic points about their town or city. And during the presentation of the action plan, students can also give short comments on others' presentations about their action plan on improving their town or city, of course, in Nihongo. So for the outline of each session, so session 1 focuses on the mini quiz about one's town, wherein we'll be able to see how far the students know about the basic facts and information about the town that they live in. Session 2 is focusing on the describing of one's town. So this is the session wherein vocabulary is introduced on how to describe the good points and some of the bad points that are present in their hometown. Session 3 is now focused on the issues facing one's town. So this is now the identification of the good points and bad points that they have in their hometown. And at the same time, they're going to study the action plan of a young Nihongojin who was able to make a difference in her community. Session 4 is all about coming up with the action plan. So in groups, the students would be making their own action plan to improve the problematic points that they have seen in their town or city and prepare for the poster presentation. So which is done on session 5. So the students would present their action plan, highlighting the positive points or the good points, the bad points of their town, and the action plan that they have based on the bad points that they have seen. So they are going to use English and simple Japanese for their presentation. And this is also the session wherein the students could give comment or feedback about the action plans of the other groups that are presenting. And lastly, session 6 is on the review of the Nihongo terms that they had encountered in this topic and the Nihongo review quiz. For session 1, the objectives, the students are expected to discover how much or little they know about the town or city that they live in through a group quiz, and they'll be able to share information about one's town or city. So Nihongo to be learned, write one's town or city where the school is located in katakana. And for the Nihongo expression introduced in this session, kono toribia shiteru. For this session's outline, so it would start with the topic introduction. So a katakana puzzle activity is to be done. So the teacher needs to prepare katakana characters that would spell out the name of the town or city where the school is located for the students to answer and rearrange. Then after the puzzle activity would be the group activity. So the students will be divided into groups to answer the machi no quizo or the short mini quiz about one's hometown. So this question or the quiz is not provided directly, but there is a teacher's reference for in the teachers could refer to on what questions they would include for the Machino Quizo. So it is the teacher who would prepare the questions that would be included for the Machino Quizo. And of course, for the answers because we come from different towns and cities. So for your reference included in your lesson plan, you have teacher's reference -2 for the reference to this session. So after the group activity would be the trivia sharing. So there would be some points that trivia or information about the hometown which is not included in the quiz. So it's the teacher's prerogative to set aside some information or trivia which are not included in the quiz that the teacher would introduce during the trivia sharing so that you could introduce the sentence pattern or the question kono trivia shiteru. So after this one, after the teacher would be the first to share the trivia, you would ask the students any other information or trivia that they know about the town that they want to share in class. After which, the trivia sharing is the machino na may kakimas part. So the students would be now writing the name of the town in katakana individually. So the teacher would be checking whether the students are practicing the proper stroking in writing the namay of the town in katakana. And every session is ended, of course, with their favorite part, the reflection. So for session 2's objective, so students are expected to share more information about one's town, analyze photos to understand the meaning of new expressions, and answer questions about photos that are shown to them. So Nihongo to be learned, so describe the location of the school or the town using the pattern nani-nani ga, kirei, oi, or sukunai. So Nihongo expression that is introduced in this session, noun ga, adjective, then kirei, so for session 2's outline, it would start with the group discussion, which is the sharing of the shukudai on the new information that they learned about their town or city, which is followed by the vocabulary building. So the teacher would show different pictures to the students for them to analyze. So we're in this set of words or vocabulary is introduced to them. So these words are also present or seen in your lesson plan. Hana, umi, michi, mizu, kuki, midori, ki, kawa, hito, gomi, biru, tatemono. So using those words, you could introduce the vocabularies kirei, sukunai, and oi in this. So to it as kitanai and oi. So all of these pictures you could introduce now the word kirei janai. After the vocabulary building, this session would end with the writing of their reflection. For session 3, objectives, students could make inference and analyze a Japanese poster through context clues and understand borrowed words, discuss on the good and bad points of one's town, and possible solution to the bad points. So, Nihongo to be learned, read a simple poster in Japanese and enumerate words and expressions related to problematic points and its solutions. Nihongo expressions that are introduced in this session, I tokoro and yokonai tokoro. For the session outline, it would start with a review of the Nihongo terms and expressions that we've learned in the previous session. Then the poster reading and analysis. So the teacher would introduce Audrey Bascal to the class and present the poster of her speech. So since most of the characters or words here are written in unlocking of vocabulary will also be done to these words. Akusyon plan, yama, hiking, rokko climbing, machi, aruki tabako, poisute, tachi shoben, shicho, and tegami. Then, the group brainstorming would be done wherein the students would identify the i-tokoro, yokonai tokoro, and action plan on their town, which is ended by the reflection. Students are expected to discover their ability to start a culture of change and come up with their action plan. Nihongo to be learned, prepare, present a very simple poster in Japanese, and use this poster to summarize their presentation, indicating the i-tokoro, yokonai tokoro, and action plan. Nihongo expressions to be learned in this session, watashi tachi no action plan o shokai shimasu. Soko de action plan o kangaimashita. Nani ka shitsumon ga arimasu? So, outline of this session, it would start with a review of the previous vocabularies they've learned. Writing practice. So, the students are expected to write their own action plan in kana, hiragana, and katakana, indicating the i-tokoro, yokonai tokoro, and the action plan of the yokonai tokoro. Then, the poster presentation input. So, the input of the Nihongo expressions that are to be used during their presentation, which are indicated also in the lesson plan. So, in case that the teachers are having difficulty in reading the hiragana version, there is also a Romaji version in the lesson plan. Then, the students are be given time for their presentation of Renshu, and it ends with the Session 5, the students are expected to start to make their own town a better place by presenting their action plan, and they are expected to exchange ideas and comments with other presenters. Nihongo to be learned, describe one's town and present an original action plan to improve the town's situation to an audience, which are their classmates, and give comments on various action plan presentations. Nihongo expressions that are introduced in this session, yareba dekiru, and isho ni gambarimashou. The session would start with the review of the Nihongo expressions learned in the previous sessions, then the poster presentation. So the teacher would hand out the worksheet to each group so that they could have their comments and suggestions on the action plans presented by their classmates, which indicates the i-tokoro, yokonai tokoro, and the action plan. After which the class discussion would follow, wherein they are going to discuss the comments and suggestions that they have for their classmates, and this session always ends with a. So for the last session of this topic, the students are expected to recall the Nihongo words and expressions they've learned so far using a vocabulary map, and they are going to reflect on their own Nihongo learning journey and direction. So session 6 would start with a review quiz, which is followed by a new activity, which is the GOI map. So for the GOI map, this would be entailing not only the vocabularies and words that they have learned in this topic, but also in the previous topics concerned. And of course, session 6 would end with a reflection. So these are a lot of things to ingest and to simplify it. Minasang, arigatou gozaimasu. Yariba dekiru. So even though you live in the islands or in the city, let's learn to appreciate the hometown that we have. Ja minasan, rainen ni mata ne.